Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and I'm in the kitchen today. What will I cook? Well, now I'm going to say I'm going to cook Okonomiyaki. It is a thing which is totally new to me. I think that I've been given a simple-ish recipe. I've got some vegetables. I'm going to grate and milk and water, and it's my fate to cook. It's what I'll do today. Cooking. That's what I'll do today. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I am Bez, and it is time, 10 a.m. UK time. Well, technically it's 10:03, but hey, what's a few minutes between friends? And it's time for Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. Today I am cooking a simple okonomiyaki. I've got my vegetables. I've got these relatively small beetroots. I'm going to peel them, then I'm going to grate them. I've got a grater over here. I've got to do a tiny bit of washing up. I mean, this is, my lack of preparation, but here's the beetroots. The beetroots exist. And here's a turnip. The turnip also exists, and it is in my hand. We've also got a pack of radishes. Let me open that. Here's a whole bunch of radishes. That's what we've got. And then I'm going to use milk and flour and water. I think I've got some flour here, hopefully. Still, I definitely shouldn't have used all the flour from before. And where did all that flour go? Oh my gosh, I thought I had flour. I mean, that kind of messes up the whole thing. That is, yeah. Looking for flour, it's what I'm talking about. Flour, but I'm not gonna shout. Flour. So yes, got the milk. Might have the flour if I manage to find it. And oh, there it is. Hey, see, I knew we didn't use all the flour. Still got a whole bunch here. So that is what we're going to do today. Now, let's start off, as always, with some recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So apparently the Twitter stuff doesn't quite work. So if you are writing messages there, it might not work, but if you're anywhere else, or if you're watching after the fact, then please reply and let me know what were some of your highlights. What have you been up to? What have you enjoyed? What have you done? What's some things that have happened? I've not been up to much recently. I was just kind of watching a lot of cartoons Saturday, and I did get out, but only after the sun had already set, and I went out just in time to buy a few things from Sainsbury's and get back. It's like half an hour walk away. Got back, good times. And so I bought all the veg that you saw. Let's also talk about my Kickstarter, because obviously that's running, and I just shared the link. So my Kickstarter currently at 222 backers, which is really cool. I mean, I care a lot more about, don't get me wrong, I do care about the money, and it would be nice to have more money to be able to afford to pay the rent, to afford to be able to help to get Chris to come and help me with scanning and technical stuff. And Chris continues to help me do things that facilitate fun, which is really cool. And the profits that I get basically go back into making it so that I am able to keep doing this and keep focusing on that. But the more important thing to me, for sure, is that backer count, 222. At this point, it's my third biggest Kickstarter, which is still really gosh darn cool. I mean, I would have loved it if thousands of people would be like, whoa, £1? And you get all the print and play files? That's like less than $2. Let's just do it. And I would love that to be the case, but it's not. Maybe the print and play community is generally not the same kind of community that plays casual games. Also, print and playing a bunch of cards, like 54 cards deck isn't that complex a thing, but then at the end, what do you get? You get this kind of silly, light-hearted party game, and it's my hypothesis that the people who are really into print and play are probably also more into, let's say, more involved games, more strategic things, more sedate things, maybe solitaire games, maybe games where you don't need other people. And so that's my hypothesis for why the print and play hasn't done quite as well as I would have ideally liked it to do. Yeah, we'll kind of see what happens with future things. But my future things, they are also very much party style things, but maybe the balloon game, maybe my game about drawing, that the game that I play tested on Friday with the skull versus ghost, that that's just to print a single sheet and then start coloring it in. So that's a simple game to play, but you don't even need to do any cutting. So that feels a lot more accessible. Because for folk like myself, I like party games, I like casual games, but am I going to do a print and play game? Probably not. Unless I literally just one sheet of paper and that's it, I'm probably not going to print and play. So yeah, the question is, how big is the overlap in that Venn diagram of people excited about print and play, people excited about party games, and maybe it's just not enough of an overlap. Anyway, still, 222 people. That is, when all is said and done, still bloody fantastic. And yes, this does make it my third biggest Kickstarter after a game about wee whimsical creatures that had about 850. A game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises, I should say. Wibble Plus Plus Deluxe got 280. And this one's currently on 222. So this looks like it's likely going to be my second biggest Kickstarter, which is obviously very exciting. And even though the money is going to be probably quite a bit, lower, because most people are paying for the £1 or the £8, which is exactly what I want people to do. But I do hope that as time goes on, more and more people will get excited by it. Fingers crossed. Hello to me, it is lovely to see you, and I hope that you are generally well. Just talking about recent highlights and what's been going on with you. I did watch Tomoato Lives Alone on. It's a show about someone living alone, a small 4-year-old boy. It's an anime, and it's a charming thing. And then I saw an American animation which was called Human Resources, where there's anxiety and depression and and the hormone monster and all these creatures kind of talking about one person. It's definitely an interesting one. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. And now let's talk about brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Brilliant thing. I'm going to say that beetroots are brilliant because they turn everything red, which is quite cool. Also, when you see them, I mean, look at this big root. It's really interesting because you've got this one really, really long root, and then everything else kind of just comes off it, like all these beetroots with these tiny little fibers. That's quite cool, just aesthetically. Yeah, beetroots, they're cool. And I'm excited to be cooking with them. Beetroots, yeah, that's the brilliant thing. Also, if you eat enough, then they turn your they turn your pee and poo red as well, which is kind of funny. So yes, feel free to comment, ask questions, fun like follow, and I will start doing I think I have to do a tiny bit of washing. This is kind of embarrassing, but feel free to comment, ask questions, fun like follow, and I'll leave this to just go here, boom, let's give it a wee bit of a rinse in a minute. So, what are we going to make? Let's get rid of that screen. Let's start with the slicing. Then I'm going to do the grating. Then I'm going to do the mixing. Then I'm going to do the cleaning. Then I'm going to do the cooking. Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. Okay, where's my knife? Oh, here's a knife. This is a small knife, but it'll do the job. So, let me get a wee bowl for all the, just so I don't have to reach down to the bin every time. So this is a white turnip. I'm going to, I'm not sure whether the white turnip should maybe cook a little bit longer than the beetroots, but I think it'll probably be okay if I just chuck them in at the same time. I don't know. But the radish definitely feels like it wants to go in later. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I'm just winging it basically. I've not done this before. So this is not like me telling you, hey, this is how it should be done or anything. And hello, Tom, it is lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you've had a good weekend so far. I hope that you had a good weekend last weekend. And yeah, just to reiterate, this is not a cooking show that you want to learn from. This is just me cooking some stuff. Hey, here's a turnip. I managed to peel a turnip. Yay, go me. That is it. Celebrating the small successes. These beetroots are a bit soft, are not ideal, and I would ideally have liked bigger ones. But when I went to the shop late at night yesterday, there were only 2 bunches of beetroots. So this is the one that I got. And Tom, it was lovely to meet you too. And yes, what was the highlight of Aircon for you? I mean, talking about food, Aircon had some pretty gosh darn awesome food, right? I want to say that the 3 days, one of the days I got the poutine. I mean, that's where Timmy's from, basically, the land of poutine. But I had a meaty poutine with the, because I'm not a vegetarian, although today's dish is going to be vegetarian, but I do eat meat, and the Friday I was like, poutine, this is what I want. This is the thing that I care the most about. I've never had poutine before. I still feel like I'd like to have more of the cheese curds on their own, just to kind of really analyse and get to know that. And by the way, look at that. Can you see it? No, you can't. Let's see. There's kind of rings here. Trust me, these beetroots are looking gorgeous. But yes, the poutine was fantastic. And then on Saturday, I had a quick wrap. And I've been talking to Ellie about how maybe I don't like my food to be contained in a wrap. I like to have food maybe on rice or something that you can sort of dip into it and eat it at your own rate. And so I've decided that unless it's heavily reduced, I'm just not going to buy wraps or salady things. Because I saw the arancini from the Italian place in it. I don't know, it just feels more exciting if you can see everything. I want to kind of gaze at everything and get that sense. But then the Sunday I had the pulled pork. Let me just empty this bowl into the actual bin. on Sunday, yeah, I had a pulled pork and yeah, stuff. But obviously that wasn't the highlights. Like I just like the highlights was the playing of the games, the meeting of the people, the laughing, the just good times generally. And Tom says, my highlight was definitely meeting in person a whole load of people I've previously only talked to online. That sounds like a really good highlight for Aircon. It was a fantastic thing. And I think that I did some maths and I figured out that I interacted with maybe 800 people. And by that, I'm counting to the people that I said hello to, I'm counting the people that I played games with, I demoed something to. I think that seems like a reasonable estimate. And my mind honestly boggles at that point. It's like, wow, this many people kind of came over and did stuff, and there was all sorts of stuff going on. Hello, Jess. It is lovely to see you. I hope that you're generally well. And yes, this is not a cooking show about, hey, this is how to do stuff. Jess is jealous that I talked to so many people and Jess couldn't go to the rave. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not doing anything for a while and my bike got stolen, so hopefully that makes you less jealous. And yes, that is a lot of tins. This is my collection of unique tins. There are still there's still 2 more tins to go, but these are all the tins from Morrison's and Sainsbury's and Asda and Tesco and Aldi and Lidl that are curry type things. And so yes, Jess is just recovering from the sun and does at least have her bike, so that is good to hear. But yes, that is my collection of tins. So yeah, beetroots. Why beetroots? Why turnips? Why radishes? I think it's about the mundanity. So again, if you haven't already backed it, please do back just for £1. A game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your vegetables, I'm going to call it. So that's like the same way that Pick a Pig and Pick a Dog are very similar games, but they have different artwork, and I think they call them the Pick a Pog series because it's the pig and the dog. Let me get the grater out. So let's start grating all these things and seeing how it goes. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing, so please don't assume that this is, or maybe I should be grating it onto a plate. I don't know. Yeah, let's do it onto a plate. That seems kind of reasonable. This is only the second time that I've used this grater since I moved in, which probably gives you an idea of like how little cooking or whatever I do. Jess says it's thundering today. Why everything? Because most things are brilliant. So yes, the reason that, the game started off, I've told this story, I was at Cannes, I decided that, maybe I should use the big grater. I think that this is too small. Yeah, definitely use the big size. Oof. That's a bit tricky, but we're going to get it. It's in there. Yeah, go on, turnip. Grate yourself. I mean, I wish you would grate yourself, but I'm the one doing all the work here. And you just lie there being grated. Although, having said that, like, if I were the one being grated, that would be, like, horrible. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a turnip being grated. I mean, this seems, now I'm kind of sad for the turnip. I was kind of saying to someone, like, years ago, like, it kind of feels weird how every time we're eating, we're destroying things, like grating these poor turnips, and, cutting up fish or eating and consuming, and we need to take these things into ourselves. But hey, that's the way it is. It's me or the turnip. I mean, if I chose to eat nothing, then I would die. And so yeah, it is all a selfish act to kind of get food in my mouth and then into my belly. Yeah, that is what it's all about. So anyway, just talking about the game, a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your turnips / beetroots / radishes. Yeah, the creatures that are totally different, that's where the game came about. So it was always about, hey, let's make it so that you're grabbing things that are totally different. Or at the start it was, hey, let's match two things that are totally different. And once you found a match, you win a point. And then you keep going until someone has the most points to get to the end of the deck. Then it was David Brain who said that they felt a bit frustrated because they were always being beaten to the match and they were always like half a second behind, at which point it felt like, why even bother? Because if you're always half a second behind and you're never going to get that point, what's the point? What's your motivation in playing? And so that's when I decided to make it more like Grabble, which is a game that I've previously made for the L deck, everyone grabbing their own pile, and I did afterwards realize, oh, pick a dog, pick a pig, those are very similar games, that everyone's grabbing their own pile, and there's something nice about that everyone's possibly getting points. But Andrew Beardsley said to me, this needs something extra. This needs, I don't know, a turnip. And then when you flip over a turnip, everyone has to stand up and clap or something. And I don't know what it should be, but everyone's smiling. And it was true. Everyone was smiling. And Andrew Beardsley had a good point. You know, why not have a turnip in the game? Why not have it so that you could, yeah, just get your turnip on. Maybe you. What would that mean? Like, a turnip's totally different to a creature, so clearly you should be able to alternate. But then turnips are too easy, so clearly you need to grab a limited number of them. So clearly you need to. Let's try 3. That seems like a good number. I mean, less than 3 would almost be like, what's the point in having this extra type of card? And I added some blank cards. We played it straight away, like within a couple of minutes of it being suggested, and that's what I love, kind of being like, boom, here's an idea, boom, let's try it out, boom, we've done something, and that kind of rapid iteration, that is my favourite part of game design, when you're just coming up with ideas, or someone else is coming up with ideas, and then they spark you, and then your idea, you can make it, because it's not like a video game where you need to spend ages coding. And sure, a video game can be fun when you've got like, oh, here's gravity and let's change the number, let's see what it means if it's 10.2, let's see what it means if it's 10.5, and then you play around and then you see what feels better. But you know, here it's just a case of, okay, I'm going to throw in a few blank cards, see what happens, and it actually meant a lot of things. So what do the vegetables do for the game? Well, firstly, and I'm trying to simultaneously work out, like, how small do I get this? How much of this am I going to grate? Because at some point it's going to be harder and harder and harder to grate until it's basically just my fingers. And I'm wondering whether at this point I should just start chopping the rest of it potentially. Yeah, let's chuck that to the side. Anyway, so the vegetables, what do? Firstly, they add a humorous touch. I mean, a game about quickly grabbing creatures, that's totally different. Okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there. A game about quickly grabbing creatures, that's totally different, and counting your turnips. What? What's up with the turnips? What's up with the beetroots? This is, yeah, this I don't know, it feels like a hook. It feels like a weird thing. The juxtaposition of the mundane and the weird, I think it works really well. Secondly, when you're grabbing them, it means that you've got to keep counts. And I didn't actually realise that counting up to 5 is really tricky when there's something else going on in your mind, because you've got to count the eyes, you've got to count the mouth, like the army bits, and you've got to count the legs. And having those numbers going on in your head, whilst you're also counting the, let me actually turn on this light, whilst you're also counting the number of vegetable cards you've already taken, that gets surprisingly tricky. When I came home and played it with Mina, and then we played it with 4, then 5, and at 5 I was like constantly messing up, and it was really interesting. You definitely have to sort of develop a strategy to make sure that you don't mess up. The third thing that it adds is a strategic decision. When you flip over a creature, if it's different, you grab it, that's it. If there's a match, you don't grab it, you put it face up back on the table. There's no real decision there. It's always good to grab your to grab your creatures. But with the vegetables, there's a finite number of how many you can have. So then that suddenly means that maybe you don't want to grab a veg at the start. Maybe you want to grab them all at the end. Maybe you want to grab them all in the middle. Maybe you want to start grabbing them later on when you're actually feeling stuck. Maybe you want to grab a bunch when there's a bunch of cards out onto the table and you can go through them faster. And that is one decision. It's literally only one decision. But that one single decision kind of changes it compared to most speed grabbing games. And that was a really interesting thing. And then the fourth thing, so we've got the juxtaposition, the humor in the name, we've got the multiple things to count, we've got the actual decision of when to grab the turnips, and then fourthly, it means that once you've played it a few times, you're probably going to keep a couple of vegetable portions left until the end, and as long as you do that, that means that all the creatures will be grabbed, so there's a kind of climactic bit at the end that's evolved when people are rushing through the end, getting lots of cards, and yeah, it means that it feels more satisfying at the end because of how things change. And yeah, that's basically it. That is what's up with the beetroots, or what's up with the turnips, or what's up with the radishes. And yes, if you can mix them all together, just like this. I have notes 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is a portion of radishes? And Timmy has tea and Jess wants tea. Yep, I totally get that. I mean, I'm all about tea is gosh darn good. I am a big fan of maybe, the more spicy things. While I was in Harrogate, I think Josie had some tea that was like cocoa and chili. That was good. But yeah, like exciting flavours of tea going on. I do like that kind of stuff going on. Okay, going to keep grating these beetroots. If I had a machine, then it would be done by now. But hey ho. Now you get to, if you've got any questions about, don't know, can you actually see at this point it's just so pretty. Nope, you can't see. It's just a black. Nope. Just says, I have a student who's about to move to Harrogate. Tom says, I quite want to play it again, but with not enough vegetables for everyone to get 5, so there's a tension of leaving them for later versus missing out on them altogether. See, Tom, that wouldn't actually, if you think about it from a game theory perspective, if you aren't sure that you're going to get all your vegetables, then as soon as you see a vegetable card, you want to take it. And so there's no decision there. It's just, if you see a vegetable card, you're definitely going to take it, assuming your previous one wasn't also a vegetable card. And then you lose that. And I think that's deliberately why there is more than enough vegetables for everyone. The other thing to remember is that if you did have not enough vegetables for everyone, and everyone were grabbing their vegetables in the middle of the game, you wouldn't have that exciting rush at the end. You've already got a little bit of a push your luck, because you want to grab all your vegetables at the end, but you also want to do it just before other people start grabbing, and you want to do it when there's other creatures to weave in between your vegetables, because if you start grabbing your vegetables and there's only like 7 creatures left on the table, at that point you're probably not going to get all 5 of your vegetables, so you've missed out. So there is a tension of timing anyway, and I would very much, feel free to house rule it, but if you do, everyone who played, I think, would get a slightly worse experience of the game. And so I would encourage you to do it, but make it super clear to everyone that this is what you personally want to do. And that's my basic philosophy on house rules. Look, I put games out there in the world. However you want to change them, you play it, you change it. So I would actually suggest something different. Like if you're playing with 2 players, you can change the number of beetroots or vegetables that you're allowed to grab. So if you're mixing 2 decks together for an epic game, you could stick with 5 vegetable portions, or given that there's now 32, 16 times 2 is 32, you could say, okay, each person is allowed to grab 10 vegetables, which now you've got even more of a decision. Okay, when am I going to grab these things? But not having enough vegetables just means there's no decision and you're going to miss out on the end game rush, if that makes sense. Tom says, cool, that's an interesting insight, probably why you're the designer and I'm not. Like, look, it's just a case of I've got time to think about these things. I ponder them when I'm cycling around or when I'm walking around or when I'm traveling. And I've been doing things. So I like to believe that I've always loved games. And even since my first Kickstarter in 2014, I like to believe that I've improved as a designer. Jess's friend, going from Bangkok to Harrogate, says it's going to be a slight culture shock, moving there alone, study in Harrogate for a year. She's only 15. Oh, wow, that is quite young to be going there alone. If your friend is... Maybe you can tell me about your friend, Jess, and we can get in touch. If your friend is ever passing through London, or maybe your friend is at Harrogate next March 2023, or maybe your friend is even at UK Games Expo 2023. I think it would be very good practice to teach people games in a second language, and I will obviously help train and teach her stuff, and hopefully I do think that it's a fun experience. I'm always looking for volunteers. I'm also looking for people to be friends with and play games with and stuff, but at conventions it's like, especially UK Games Expo, I just want all the people that I can get. I booked a place, actually, it's a youth hostel for 12 people. I'm going to be using 10 of the beds, not myself personally, but myself and 9 other people who are going to be helping or working at my stand. And 2 of the beds are going to Descent Games. So that's Jess Mederingham and Milgoble, who are working on stuff and making Library Labyrinth, which is on Kickstarter just now, a much longer campaign than mine. I am starting to feel like 9 days is about as much as I can do. I don't have as much energy as I did 8 years ago. And also, I feel like I care more. Like 8 years ago, I was more happy to just, okay, I'll check it on net like in half an hour. But as time has gone on, I think I've also got more and more and more of my ego invested in my stuff. So there's a sense of, if I'm not doing stuff to make it, to promote it, I feel like I'm kind of messing up. And so there is that side of it, which isn't great in a lot of ways, but that's the truth. I wouldn't run a long Kickstarter. Anyway, back to UK Games Expo. Yes, if anyone is up for helping me at UK Games Expo, let me know. I will probably be making a little survey and asking people to fill in the survey. I'll probably do that maybe, hopefully over the next week-ish. Give people plenty of time to go through everyone, get to know everyone, and pick my dream team of like myself plus 9 others who are actually passionate about the games. That's what I'm planning to do. And Jess says, it's my student, not my friend, my student. And apparently she might be up for being friends. She might like that. Awesome. Well, feel free to pass on my details, but if anyone sends me a friend request, please do actually send a message along the friend request. I don't, unless I like just met you yesterday or something, unless we actually hung out like just before you sent it and then I see it, I'm probably not going to accept a friend request unless you actually send a little message. So it's like, hey, this is who I am, and this is why I'm sending you a friend request. That's basically what I want. If it's, hey, I like what you've got to say about games, I want to follow you in all the groups. And that's fair. Like, if you're friends with someone, you get pinged by them more often. If someone's like, oh, and then I want to make sure that, like, make sure I'm safe, make sure that I know the people that I'm Facebook friends with. Yeah, and also I kind of want to establish connections. I don't want to just have a bunch of Facebook friends that I'm like, oh, who is this person? And then it gets to their birthday and it's like, who is this person? Is there any point in wishing them, you know what I mean? I just like to know who I'm friends with. Otherwise, like, that Facebook friendship, it's meaningless if there's not any communication or dialogue behind it. That's my point of view. And of course, other points of view are valid. Jess says, I like to have political comrades that I don't know. I find it interesting and I learn. But to each their own. That's totally fair. But if I'm not saying that I have to have met them in real life. What I'm saying is that I need them to send me a message. So if someone doesn't even send me a message, I don't consider them to be a comrade. Yeah, that's just my approach on it. Anyway, as always, if anyone has any questions, then let me ask. Okay, so in the game, you're allowed to have 5 portions of veg, and apparently 1 turnip is a portion. Apparently 2 beetroots is a portion, which seems reasonable. And so there's already 4 portions of veg. So I have to actually answer this question before I start doing all the art. How many radishes is in a portion? Like, if this is 1 portion, like, how many radishes is equal to that? Like, are those 2 handfuls roughly equal? I think maybe double these radishes, like 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I could put 12 radishes in, maybe 10 radishes. Jess says, I consider political comrades to be those with similar views to mine. It's not that I don't explore opposite views to mine, I do, but not via Facebook. And it's red foods today. Yes, what are you eating? Are you also eating red foods? And that is a nice thing about beetroots, like how it turns everything red. I kind of wish that there was something like that for blue and something like that for other colours. I know that you've got turmeric, which kind of turns things yellow, but yellow's not a strong colour. So if you've got, I don't know, like carrots, which are kind of orange, and then you cook them with beetroots, boom! Well, you thought they were orange before, now they're properly red. Whereas if you put in carrots or like mix and have turmeric, that's not going to make it really yellow until you put so much turmeric that it's horrible to eat. I kind of wish there was like a blue thing, but I think it's really cool that I'm almost tempted to have like a big group meal. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to have a private convention, I don't know what to call it, after UK Games Expo. It's literally the day after UK Games Expo on Monday. And I booked the hostel for one extra day, so we can all hang out and play games and chat. It's going to be called Wind Down Convention. I can't really call it a convention. It's going to be like 10 of us, 12 of us at most, but just a bunch of people who've hopefully gotten to know each other over the weekend, but maybe haven't had a lot of time to chat. Because I realised that the road trip from Harrogate to London was lovely, just being in the car for 3 hours with Josie and Daksha and having that opportunity to talk, not just when we were talking for an hour on the stream, but also when we were talking about all sorts of other things. And before everyone goes their separate ways, I just think it would be lovely to have that moments of solidarity. And so thank you everyone. You've spent a while demonstrating games now. Let's play those games, or let's play other people's games that I didn't even make. Let's play something totally different. I think it would be nice. And obviously if other people in the hostel want to join us, then they can potentially, especially if we're in the public areas, then we can't, it would be a bit rude to say, no, you can't join us. This is another beetroots gone down. It's only 3 hours from Harrogate to London, asks Jess, did you go in a very, very fast car? Josie was driving quite quickly. Jess says, I'm going to have a vegan chocolate brownie smoothie. Tomorrow I'll restart 75 hard because tomorrow I officially finish work for the year. We have a final meeting and it's 75 days until I actually teach again. Wow, that is a long holiday. Yeah, 75 days, almost 2 months. I mean, I know you're here for a month of it. What are you going to do with the rest? That sounds amazing. And is that the way that all Thai schools are, that they've all got their holidays around now? I mean, is this basically the equivalent of the UK summer holidays where you have 2 months off, but it's normally around August? I'm guessing that's what's going on. Okay. My hands are definitely getting tired. I mean, I thought like I was down for this and in all this greeting, but man, getting tired and caught literally red-handed. Jess says, I've already had some holiday, 2.5 months of not teaching, though I will have a little light office time in about 6 to 8 days. I mean, if they're forcing you to go into the office 1 week before your holiday ends, then that's kind of not really part of your holiday if you've got to go into the office, I feel. But maybe I'm misunderstanding the whole situation. And I love conventions. Conventions are such a good thing. And Aircon, obviously fantastic. UK Games Expo. I am excited by it. I am marginally nervous, not going to lie, like, you know, the COVID and the travel and everything, but I think at this point, you know, to just carry on, and I will make sure to have my booster shots. I've not had my third jab yet, but I'll make sure to have my booster shot, and then once I've had that, some people even get double boosted. At which point, yeah, you might catch it, but you're unlikely to have any major symptoms, which is obviously a good thing. And yeah, I think the key thing is that if you're at one of these places, to let everyone know. So last week, Chris didn't come over because Chris was like, yeah, I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to catch it off you, which is totally fair. And when I go to Daicini, I think it would be good for me to make sure that Chris can either work from home or maybe is just doing one day for me, and let Chris know in advance so they can get an extra day at their other job. But yeah, I think the key thing is to not go to one of these things and then go and visit other people who aren't making the same life choices. Because if there are some people who are being super careful, then you kind of have to be super careful for a while, for like a week or something, before you even visit them. I think that's the key thing. But yeah, I think that is the key thing. So Jess says, yes, it's not a 75-day holiday, it's a 75 days until Jess teaches again, not until she works again. Okay. And she hasn't taught since mid-February. Wow, that's a while, but has had some work to do. Okay. And so let me decide how many radishes to add. I'm thinking the radishes go in a wee bit later, but let me do a tiny bit of washing. So I think this is roughly one portion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, exactly 10. Let's stick with that. Radish. I am washing the radish, but I need somewhere to put them. I'll put them in this empty tin, which has been washed. Radish. This will go into my dish. Radish. This is gonna go into my dish. I like a radish because it's a little bit sharp. I like a radish because its skin is relatively dark to the middle, which is white. Radish. So yeah, just giving it a wee bit of a slice. Slice these kind of thinly. And I'm thinking that maybe that can go in towards the end after I might be making too much food. At this point, I kind of wish that Layla was here. Layla is kind of happy to eat pretty much anything and doesn't let food get wasted. But yeah, I am on my own today. Got no one coming over. And it's possible that I've just cooked way too much food. I guess this is going to be my dinner as well now. Oh well. It's hardly the worst thing in the world. I mean, I should be privileged that I've got too much food, although I think that I definitely do need to have more people here for future cooking streams, because I always end up, every time I end up cooking too much. So let's grab a wee bowl. And I was told that Layla is indeed a person. I could eat it tomorrow, but yeah, Oh, you mean like cook it and then eat some of it tomorrow as leftovers? Yeah, absolutely. I could do that. But like for the cooking show, I feel like I need to cook it all today. So I've been told, I'm not sure, like if I've ever made pancake batter before. It's been many years. I was told about 3 cups of flour and 1 litre of milk. I don't need that much stuff, I don't think, but this is, I guess like a cup is probably a little bit smaller than this, so maybe this is a cup of flour. That feels about right. Oh, that's already used most of the bowl. And then I'm thinking, how much is even a litre? I think that this glass is probably about a quarter of a litre? I don't know. So, let's put in... You know what? Jess, maybe I will try and cook only half of it. Oh. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. Boom, 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 boom. We've got... Yeah, I'm almost scared to add in the rest of the milk. But... Yeah. Let me pour that over there. And maybe I should have... Yeah, maybe I should have used like a saucepan or something. So this... Oh my gosh, this is a series of terrible cooking decisions. Like, as opposed to most shows where it's all about, hey, here, check me out, I know what I'm doing. This is basically me exposing myself to the internet saying, hey, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. Apparently, I want to have a teaspoon of salt. So, there's some salt. Yeah, I'm not really able to get any good whipping action going on in this tiny bowl. Yeah, this is not a good bowl for mixing stuff. Morning, Ian. It is lovely to see you. And Ian says, always add less than add more. That would have been this is why you're the voice of experience, and I'm just kind of messing around and trying to do things, and hopefully it'll work out, but I will keep that in mind for future. So yeah, people, do you think that I should... I mean, this is, in theory, this is my pancake batter, but... Okay, I think I'm able to get to decent... I'm just very mindful of, in case it all spurts over, I don't want to make a big mess in my kitchen. Mix this thing, mix this thing, mix this thing, while I have a sing. We're going to mix the flour with the milk, and it's going to get smooth like silk, maybe, or it'll be quite lumpy, and when I eat it, it might be bumpy. Yeah, it doesn't look very appetizing with that amount of... yeah, there's a lot of lumps going on in here. Yeah, this is not good. I think if I had started with only a tiny bit of milk and then added it and then done some more mixing, then it might have worked well, but hey, hindsight is the year of the pandemic. And so, let's not get into hindsight. So, is that mixed enough? I mean, it's not perfect, but it feels good. And what time is it? 10:56. I feel like I want to wrap up at this point, and it is a lot of batter. It feels like a lot of flour, maybe too much flour, I don't know. But let's just cook the thing and see how it goes, eh? Let's just see what goes on. More flour, says Ian. No, I'm not going to listen to you. Then I'll just end up having more of this, then more of that, and then I'll have too much at the end. I'm just going to go forwards. Okay, so just in time, I have a clean wok. Just in time. Boom. It's all good. Totally prepared. Yes, absolutely. If anyone asks how prepared Bez is, how organised Bez is, you can say so prepared, so organised that they get things on just in time. Usually. Sometimes it's also too late. But let's just go with this. We've got a wok. We've got flour mix. We've got our vegetables. We've got some oil. I've got a fire. Whoa, there's a fire. There's literally a fire. Okay, I think that's... I'll just leave that for a moment to get those final last few drops from that oil pan. Like, this, it's like all about getting those last few drops, isn't it? And yep, that's about as much as I'll get from that bottle. Whoops, wrong lid. Let's all go into the recycling. So we've got this swimming around. Should I add maybe some ginger or some chili to this? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I never finished cutting up the radishes. How did I get so distracted? I didn't finish cutting up the radishes. That's not good. Let me finish the radishes first. So for those who don't know, Ian, also known as Tonga Lad, is one of the lovely people who was helping me at Aircon. And it was a delight to have you, Ian. And yeah, on Saturday, because I was doing a special event for In a Bond, I wanted to make sure that I would have at least a couple of people remaining on the stand, that's ideally having some people with me in case basically no one turns up. But it was a really good event. I was delighted to see Kim Joy there. That was super exciting. I was delighted to see, Mill and Pippa and Phoebe, who'd joined in, like the Giants in a Bind event, 2016, I want to say. And yeah, there were like 3 people who I hadn't met before. But yeah, it felt like a few people who were there together looking forward to a twist on the game. And they got it. They got something super chaotic. Someone asked me around the middle, did you expect this to be chaotic? And that was a hard question to answer in the heat of the moment. I mean, I expected it to be chaotic if there were enough people. That's what I'm going to say. I hoped that it would be chaotic. I basically hoped it would make people laugh. I didn't expect it to be a game about strategizing. I knew that when markets crash, I feel like the correct answer is to make everyone go down to 0 when they crash. Just get them out of there. The game was long enough. It doesn't need to have more strategy or second chances. I love that bit of spiciness, the tang that the radish is offering me. I'm digging this. Okay, I've got these radishes on the side. Apparently I'm eating all 5 portions of my vegetables in one go. And so I'm not allowed any more after this, because this is 1 portion of radishes, 1 portion of turnips, and 3 portions of beetroots. So let's get the fire back on. Fire, 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 fire. Tonga Lad says, grab a beetroot. Thank you. Loved being the stockbroker. Most people would have brought more people would have brought more chaos. Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I would have loved there to be more people, but You know, it's all about the advertising, and the question is, like, I talked to John Dodd about maybe doing something like that at UK Games Expo, and John was like, yeah, why not? We'll give you a room if you've got something and you've got a few people who want to do it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's get these vegetables in here. All the grated veg. So we've got the white turnips. We've got the we've got the white turnips there. We've got the red beetroots, and I'll just kind of try and get that out. Boom. A little spoon. So we're mixing together the white and the red. And look, there's a bit of white there. But we're going to turn it all red. I wonder how red the pancake batter mix will get. Boom, check that out. So it's all red, but we've got the dark red of the actual beetroot, the light red of the turnip, which is now red because of the beetroot. And I think, should we put in a little bit of chili maybe? I'm going to put all of this in quickly. Boom. Some chili. A little bit of easy chili, just a good amount of garlic. Boom. And I don't mind reusing a spoon for the ginger because I know I'll get through it quickly. Boom. Ginger, garlic and chili. Got these tins from one of the cheaper supermarkets. It does make it just a wee bit faster and more joyful, and also sometimes I just like a little sprinkling of the chili or the ginger on something that's relatively raw. Lots of chili, says Ian. So let's see how this goes. Okay, that's very white. Let's use this spoon to get the ends of it. Boom. Oh, it's already turning pink. The batter's already turning pink. Boom. Quite excited by this. My hands are you rinsed. Let's get this together. So apparently, I should be able to flip this pancake. Maybe the idea was for me to do it in batches, but I have no idea. I mean, we've already established that I have no idea what I'm doing. So I don't think this is actual okonomiyaki, but it seems to be, I mean, it looks like it will hopefully be edible and not terrible. So let's keep it cooking. The pan is going a wee bit dry. I'm wondering, should I have more? Oh, wow, it's starting to be a bit thick. Like, wow, that I could almost, like, I'm trying, check how gloopy that is. Wow. Should I add a bit more oil? I'm honestly not sure. I feel like maybe I should. There's bits sticking to the edge of the wok. Apparently this is something that you are meant to definitely cook in a wok, but oh, if I've got to flip it, maybe I should get another spoon as well. Double spoon action! Double spoon. Hey, this is... Okay, I think that's about as flipped as it can be. Boom. I guess that's that. Jess says chili is red. Might not be enough chili for me because I'm a Thai now. That is fair. Um, Let me. Should I add more oil? I'm honestly not sure. Let me know what you think. All you people who are better cooks than me and are watching live, let me know. More oil, yes or no? How do I know? I've no idea what I'm doing. And I've got this bit of cup of milk. What can I do with this? I'm going to just throw it in because there was flour in it, so it's not like I could have just drunk the milk. But maybe I've messed everything up now. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. We've already established this. This is not how to cook this. This is just what happens if you do these things. This is like an idiot person working out. Oh, all the milk's evaporated. That was faster than I was expecting. Huh, interesting. That was actually quite fun to watch. I would totally do that again. Maybe I should add a tiny... Oh, there's even a tiny bit of flour in there. Although maybe at this point adding flour might not be the best idea, because then you could have some raw flour in with the cooked flour. Ian says, I'm not sure it qualifies as a pancake. Yeah, I don't feel it does either. It feels a bit big to me. What do you think? It feels like a bit thick and big. I feel like I should. Now is probably the time when I want to put in all these radishes, maybe. Let's see how long it takes these radishes to turn red. So, just to show you a close up of what's going on. That's what's going on in the pan. Boom. Going to lower the heat slightly. Let's get those radishes in there. Boom, get yourself inside. Come on, radish, get yourself inside. You can do it. Let's separate you all out. You don't need to all clump together. I think the radishes are probably going to stay white at this point because it feels like the beetroots have already done all of their colouring. But let's try and hide those radishes so it's just like, oh, it's a little radish. What's going on here? And I feel like, you might ask me, Bez, is this going to improve your drawings? Is this going to improve the game at all? Learning about radishes, having a first-hand experience of the radishes. I don't know. Probably not, to be honest, but it's not about the cooking. It's about the fact that while I'm doing this, I am having thoughts going through my mind about how I could draw the radishes, what things the radishes could combine with. Maybe the radishes are spread out, kind of vaguely like a creature. What if it was a scarecrow that had a radish head? I don't know. Maybe a little doll with radishes, but trying to scrape off the edge. Oof, this is getting hard work again. These radishes are... So this is a radish. Is it cooked? I genuinely don't know. I genuinely can't tell if this is cooked or not. I mean, it tastes kind of gooey. It doesn't taste properly cooked to me, but I think maybe the intention was that I did it... I think the plan was for me to do smaller batches. It's possible that I've messed this entire thing up. I'm a bit sad. Oh, it's starting to kind of bubble. I mean, how do I eat this? I think Ian's right. It can't qualify as a pancake. Can I just have a spoon? Is this safe to eat? Because I mean, you've got the flour. The flour hasn't been cooked as much as normally flour should be. But Tastes alright. I mean, I think if I were to do it again, I would do it in smaller batches. That's what I'm learning. Yeah, it tastes a bit loopy. I mean, that's not bad. I'm just worried that tomorrow I might have stomach problems. Let's... And this is me trying to flip it. Like, there's no flipping going on. Oh, there's a little skin at the bottom. Exciting. Oh, I think this is a little burnt bit. You know what? I'm going to put the bottom bit, which is a bit more cooked, into a wee plate. Actually, maybe I'll use a big plate. I'm going to use a big plate. There we go. This bit. And any other bits that look like they are definitely cooked. Like the rest of it, I'm like, yeah, maybe I could just leave it out and then separate it and finish cooking it tonight. But I'm going to have a wee bit of the gloopy stuff. See how I get on. Oh, that's a good amount round the edge. Okay, so now for the moments of truth. Let's find out how it is. Jess said stomach problems from wheat. I meant from the raw flour, because you aren't meant to have raw flour, right? Like, you're meant to make sure that it's properly cooked before you have it. Okay, so let's have this bit is kind of black and possibly overcooked. Most of it is kind of gloopy and yeah. Ian and Jess said they think I'll be okay. I mean, worst case scenario, it's not going to be a big issue. So, turning off the fire and yeah, actually, the mixture of vegetables, it works well. I like the slight vinegariness from the ginger and garlic that I put in there. It's very wholesome. There's definitely a lot more than I need to eat. It's very filling. It's surprisingly filling. I think that, yeah, maybe cooking all the veg and then taking them out and then afterwards doing the veg and the pancake batter in batches, that would have been better. That bit that I thought was burnt wasn't actually burnt. So it was actually really nice and gelatinous. It's like a stretchy food. I am really digging this. Yeah, the middle was not great, but the bottom, wow. It's like, I'm going to turn on the heat again. Yeah, this bottom bit, where it was a bit more cooked, that is really good. So basically what I've learned is that I put too much into the pan at once. It was too, big, but, it's really nice. You've got the radishes, which at this point they look almost like, I don't know, carrots. You've got the greens of the beetroots. Ian says, put it over fries and make a poutine. No, poutine needs curds. I Right, that's not a poutine, surely. But yeah, I am going to finish up because I should be heading off to playtest in a wee bit. And even though it officially only starts at 1, I aim to be there at 12, so I'll aim to be leaving in about 13 minutes, although I'll be going over that today. So at this point, let me ask, question of the day, what's the little question before we go on our way? So my question to you is, how would you have done this differently? What would you have changed? I feel like I should have done it in smaller batches. Beyond that, is there anything else that you think I should have done differently? I do quite like the seasoning going on. I like, I guess there could have been, maybe a little bit of peanuts. Do I have, here we go. I wonder if, I'm just wondering how it would go with the crunchiness of peanuts. Actually, yeah. Maybe if the peanuts were even like kind of crushed. Like, I'm almost wondering whether I should have just put in a dollop of peanut butter in there. I am really digging that. And it's really gelatinous. It's got the kind of, like the exterior of, one of those buns. I would definitely make this again, but I would put it in smaller things. Jess says, I probably wouldn't cook radish. Do you mean that you'd put the radish raw on top of it, or would you just not put radish at all? Ian says, I would have blended the veg into the batter. So just blended the veg into the batter and then just raw. Would you have blended it all together before putting it into the wok, maybe? Or would you have cooked it maybe for a minute before mixing it all together? Ty's put peanuts and chili together a lot. Yeah, definitely made smaller pancakes. That would be good. Jess says, I'd definitely try it. Radish on the side. I'd have added some human meat too, because I think that's red. I think that's clearly not something that I would personally do, but yeah, I know you're joking, and Jess is a troublemaker. I did enjoy this. This is something that... What's a blini? Is a blini like... Is a blini size like that size? I've heard that word before, but I don't know it. Anyway, Jess also has a question for everyone, and is asking, how much do you like thunderstorms? Not very much, and also for other people's questions, please try to get your questions earlier on, because then I can ramble about them for... I could have rambled about that for half an hour. Let's talk about, over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. Is there anything that you're doing today? Anything that you're excited to do? Anything that you want to do? Anything that you feel you need to do? Oh, I've had another backer, so I'm going to keep an eye on my Kickstarter. I'm going to go to playtest today. I'm going to playtest a couple of games. Then I will make sure that I do an update and I remind people about this Kickstarter on all the social medias later on. Yeah, honestly, like, that's a big part of what I'm doing today, just the playtest and the Kickstarter. I might be thinking about how to replace a bike. What are you up to? Jess says, a Vietnamese person told me that the Vietnamese do eat dogs, but it makes sense because we eat cows. Sure. Jess is watching Downton Abbey, having a smoothie, relaxing, kicking back, enjoying the bed and a stuffed shark. That sounds lovely. Recap and wrap up before we finish up. So, to recap and wrap up, I made food. It was 6 beetroots, so 3 portions. We had 1 white turnip, that's another portion. And we had about like a handful of radishes. It was about 10. I've decided that, 6 to 10 radishes, that's a portion. And grated the first 2 things, put them in to cook for a bit. I had some flour and milk, mixed them together. I think I did about a bit less than 1 glass of flour and 1.5 glasses of milk, poured it in. It seemed to go well, but the bottom bits where it's been cooked a bit more are definitely better. And so I would definitely cook it in smaller portions next time. Yeah, that is, and we talked about why there's vegetables in my game, why it's important that there's more vegetables than everyone wants, and talked about, that was pretty much it. Just sang a few songs. Plentiful pancakes pouring, says Ian. Absolutely. And if you haven't, one more time, if you haven't backed this Kickstarter already, please do back it. It does really help. £1 for the print and play, and you get a game that you could play with basically any numbers. So that is it. If you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez everywhere. Check out stuffbybez.com/streams tomorrow. I don't know what I'll be streaming about. Feel free to make a suggestion. Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll have Jess Medringham and Alan Paul on. Thursday, my Kickstarter will be finishing. You can also check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Search for Stuff by Bez. Share, spread the word if you felt like this was a fun thing. I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you to Dina for the recipe. Thank you to Ian and Jess and Tom and Timmy for popping in and being part of this show. Thank you to anyone else who's just been lurking and enjoying that. And at this point, there's no much more to say. So beyond that, yep, we all know some Ians. And just for reference, this Ian Cameron is with 2 eyes. Well, for now, lots of love and bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song to do, bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go through. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jess. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye, Ian. You too. Whoops. There we go.